This is the North Georgia Life Podcast. Embrace life where you live. Welcome to the North Georgia Life Podcast. It's Jake, your host. In today's episode, we are interviewing Bo and Jen Robson with Straight Street Ministries. They are in Hall County, Georgia, and they have a lot of different practical legs of life that they are reaching people, and their whole goal is to help restore dignity and hope to people who may have lost it through the course of their life, and some of them, as you're going to hear, may have never actually had hope to begin with. And if there is nothing else that propels people forward and gives people a reason to live, it is hope. It is hope for better relationships, better friendships, a better life, a better future. And they are doing that in some practical ways, which when I first got connected with them, it was actually through a 5K, and it was for this thing called Backpack Love, which I had never heard of. And this is probably 7-8 years ago now. And now this is an organization that my real estate business is involved with and giving to and contributing to what they're doing in our local community because of this. One of the things that they are seeking to do in a practical sense is not just restore dignity and hope, but it is give a sense of belonging, give a sense of community. And we know that one of the things that our culture is needing so badly in this digital age is real, actual community, instead of the digital world that we all seem to live in. My hope and one of the goals of this podcast is that as you hear about stories, that something at some point is going to connect with you, and it's going to register and resonate in your soul, and it's going to be something that you get involved with in serving in a practical way that actually touches the lives of people in our community and makes our communities better. There are some things that they are doing that are completely different than other nonprofits, than other faith-based organizations, from helping people have birthday parties who can't afford to throw their child a birthday party. We can't get a whole lot more practical than that. All the way from that to combating one of the biggest evils in our day, which is human trafficking and sexual exploitation. And they are dealing with that and helping in that capacity right here in our backyard in North Georgia. So I hope this encourages you that there is no problem too big to tackle when people come together as a community and they are focused on a mission that genuinely changes our world for the good. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram, North Georgia Life Podcast, on both of those platforms. If you have suggestions, ideas for future podcast episodes, you can always email me at northgeorgialifepodcast@gmail.com. And as we start the new year and going into 2020, one of my asks for this year is that if you are getting a benefit from this podcast, if this provides insight, value, you feel like you're more familiar and more connected to your local community, the North Georgia region, would you share this with others that you are in their sphere of influence, you're in their community? If it is genuinely making you feel more connected to your community, then would you share it? So with that, we'll get started. Welcome to the North Georgia Life Podcast. It's Jake, your host, and today's episode is kind of a flashback for us because we actually did this episode a few months ago and just had some technical difficulties, so we are doing it again because it was that good. I am here today with Bo and Jen Robson with Straight Street Ministries. This is a local Hall County nonprofit that serves so many people in our community in so many different ways. A lot of us have heard of different legs of their ministry and their service to our community, but we really don't know the backstory or, frankly, the full scope of what they do in our community. And this is an organization where, regardless of where you're at in life or even in your faith, this is something that you can get involved with and help people in our community that are in different levels of need in tangible ways. And again, that's one of the goals of the podcast, is to help people plug in and serve and develop friendships and relationships in our local community. So with that as a starting block, we are going to go ahead and jump in. Bo and Jen, thanks for your time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
All right, let's start with where Bo and Jen Robson came from. You guys are local. You grew up in this general area. Your families are from here?
Yes.
Tell us a little about Bo, I know a little more about your family just because I know your dad, Gainesville natives, like several generations.
Yeah, so my granddad moved up here from Florida when he was in middle school, high school, that age.
Mm-hmm.
And right out of high school, started his own food service business. So that's kind of the origins.
And people that know your family or the family business now, most of them don't know that it started out of the back of a pickup truck.
Out of the back of a pickup truck, right? He would sell on Tuesday. He'd deliver on Thursday.
Wow. Yeah. So he's come a long way. He's done well.
Just a little bit.
He's got that free enterprise in his blood. And Jen, a little about you.
I'm third, fourth generation Gainesville. So all my family's here. All of our family is here. Both sides of our family.
You guys are, it's one of these things like your organization, Straight Street, is so far reaching in so many different aspects of life. Can you share a little bit about where some of these, because everything didn't start at the same time, where some of these ministry legs came from, where they grew out of? Backpack Love, is that what started first?
Yeah, so we can actually, the ministry started with this desire from Todd Robson, my dad, who was the founder of the organization. It started with a desire to just do something for the Lord. Right? He didn't really have an idea. And really, it started with a missionary heart and mind. Mm-hmm. He wanted to reach people that were probably not going to wander onto the steps of a church, but he wanted to reach them practically and share the love of Christ with them. So that started off with him hiring 2 college-age guys and asking them just to go live life around coffee shops, build relationships, and try to share Jesus with people. Very much a missionary mindset. And then as that started, that was in June of 2010. Well, at the tail end of the 08-09 school year, a group of counselors that were in a small group together had noticed that some of their students were going hungry over the weekend. And they actually, there's a really cool story behind that. The students were going through the lunch line, and lunch offers free crackers, and you can just grab as many as you want. And so these students were stuffing their pockets full of crackers, and they kind of went over there to rebuke them, like, hey, let's not be wasteful. Let's not grab more crackers than we're going to eat. And they actually looked up at them and said, well, the reason why we're grabbing so many is because this weekend when we go home to eat, we're only going to have ketchup cracker soup. So that stirred within them this desire to do something within their school. They talked to their small group. Well, over the summer, Dad had kind of heard about what their small group was doing as far as providing food and backpacks for those students to take home on the weekend. And he's like, man, our small group would love to come alongside you guys, help collect food, help pack out the bags. This would just be great. And as they did that, it dawned on Dad, is this just y'all's school, or is this a larger problem within Hall County? And they said, it is in every school in Hall County and in Gainesville City, if you'll go ask. And so I was like, okay, well, let's ask people what they need. So we started out that first school year asking just the counselors, because we need a contact person to identify students. We try to get the one that probably has the most reach. Like an individual teacher will know her students more personally, but a counselor sees kind of the whole school. So we asked the counselors, do you have students that aren't eating, or if they are eating, they don't know where that meal's going to come from over the weekend? And how many students do you have like that? And from that first time, by the end of that first semester of asking this question, we'd already had 100 kids signed up for the program.
Wow. Wow.
And that first school year, at the end of that first school year, was 273.
Oh my gosh.
So it kind of multiplied from there to where now today we're doing anywhere from 500 to 600 backpacks a week.
A week. Oh my gosh. Yeah. This is really how I first got connected with you guys and your ministry in general, was 5K that you were doing for Backpack Love, which is what this leg of the organization is called. And you're in how many schools? Every school in Hall County?
Every school that has identified a need. At one point, it has been every school in Hall County. Sometimes schools will slip in and out. They'll need some bags, but then they'll go through a season where they don't have any kids they've identified, but then they'll ask again. So it's available to every school in Hall County and Gainesville City.
Yeah.
And 4 or 5 schools in Gwinnett.
Yeah. And we were actually at the your office location last week, and there was it a business that had packed a bunch of backpacks?
Yeah, so a company for like their Christmas, end of the year, just give back to the community. They, as an organization, like between their different departments, had a competition to see who could pack the most backpacks. So I gave them the list of everything we put in a backpack, what exactly it looks like, and each department filled backpacks and kind of compete with each other. And so they just had, after doing that for a whole month or so, they delivered that to our organization. They were able to collect collectively 389 backpacks.
Wow. In one company. That's awesome. And that's something that, like I said in the beginning, anybody can do. This is kids that are in our community that are of all shapes, sizes, backgrounds, that are effectively going home for the weekend and have no guarantee or no plan that they're going to eat much of anything all weekend. So this is really a support for the families as well as for the kids. And my real first-hand exposure to this, I've been involved with an organization in Hall County called Centerpoint. It's a mentoring program that does a lot of good in a lot of schools. And I was actually in a counselor's office talking with them about one of the students, and I saw in her office one of the walls had just a line of backpacks. And I remember looking at her and I said, "Is that backpack love?" And she's just kind of like took kind of a step back and just said yes. And I froze. I had no idea. And there were probably 15 backpacks. And these are kids that are walking the halls and look just like everybody else in a normal school, and they go home and have no food at home. And it's such an easy thing for us to miss. And of course, those kids don't want to stand out. They don't want to fess up. And so that's where, the counselors are so valuable in providing that information that gives the kids and the families some dignity back. That's a pride thing. That's a humbling thing for a parent to say, I can't feed my kid on the weekend because we just can't afford it. So that's such a great work. You got that rolling, and then Beautiful Feet.
Well, actually, we had Straight Street Impact.
Straight Street Impact.
Like at the same time that Backpack Love started. And it started off being just neighborhood block parties and trying to really take down the walls individual churches have built up, and just being the hands and feet of Christ and providing lawn care service while sharing the gospel and doing some hamburgers and loving on the kids. And that even has manifested now into a really huge home repairs ministry.
It's not uncommon for us to have families that don't even have bathrooms. Their kids are sleeping on the floor. They have holes in their floorboard. We had one situation one time where a family was the way they were taking a shower every night is they were heating water up on their stove, and they were splashing themselves to rinse themselves off. So this is from our Backpack Love ministry, and actually through the just connections we've built with other organizations in Hall County, we're being put on the front lines of some of the harshest realities that people in our county are living in. And that's really what prompted us to move more in that home repairs direction.
Yeah. The reality is nobody sees that. Unless you have people, frankly, kind of on the inside that connect with that. No one in Hall County would think there are people who don't have hot water. There are people who don't have showers. There are people who have holes in their floors that they're having to walk around every day.
Yeah. And a backpack was basically a backpack of food was an invitation of one of our large home repairs project too. It started off with a family needing food, and then walking into the house and seeing how awful it was for this family with a grandmother taking care of their 4 children, or for her 4 grandchildren. And that led into a huge, amazing home repairs, tiny home project.
Yeah, not home repairs, home replacement.
Home replacement, right.
Bulldoze down her property.
It's not
and
something we
rebuild
normally do,
something
but
back up.
Right.
Yeah.
If you ever do get the chance to drive by some homes where on the outside they look dilapidated, I promise you on the inside they're worse.
Yeah.
And so literally this project was one where we came up to it, and it was like, we don't even know.
Where do you start?
Yeah, there's no Band-Aid you can put on this.
Right.
It's the whole thing has to come down, and she had just paid off the land. And so all that needed to be purchased was now this home to go on it. And so we were able to rally the troops and get people with generous donations and organizations like America's Home Place to draw up plans for us for free. And we were able to get this lady, this grandma who was practically blind. I actually just talked to her this Christmas. She's about to have her third cornea transplant to try to prevent her from becoming blind. But raising her 4 grandkids and we were able to
that's a
provide them
task
with
by
home.
itself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's ironic, funny, not funny. I tell people all the time, just going out in real estate looking at houses, I said the outside is usually a reflection of the inside. If the outside's rough, the inside's really rough. If the outside looks manicured, the inside's going to be spectacular. It's just how properties reflect the inside of the outside, or the outside of the inside. And I want to pause here for a minute, because there are a lot of people in our community that are in that process of retiring, looking for things to do. They've got life skills. They know how to build things, they know how to fix things, and they don't necessarily have to be Christians. They can come be somebody who knows how to build something, and they can help someone in our community. They're going to be part of a project serving the local community, doing something good, and using their life skills and, frankly, their time that a lot of us don't have to do something really, really good for our community. So when did Beautiful Feet roll into the picture?
When Bo and I met and started dating. But before that, God placed on my heart, way before the Robsons came in my life, a burden for women who have been trafficked. And I wasn't sure exactly what God wanted me to do with it until about 2011, 2012. I graduated from Georgia State and was going on missionary trips and going to tons of training here in Atlanta and, finding out more information about what does trafficking look like and exploitation look like. And then knowing that I was not going to keep driving to Atlanta since I just graduated from Georgia State. God was saying, do something here in Gainesville. And that's about that time, Bo took over Straight Street as the executive director. And at the time, we also had a local strip club. And God was kind of pushing us towards doing something locally. And Beautiful Feet was developed underneath Straight Street since it was already an existing nonprofit. And then we started going to the strip club and loving on the women. And we were there for 5 years before it shut down. We were sharing the gospel. We had Bible studies in there. We were loving on the women. And it's really interesting because people sometimes look at our organization and say, y'all have 3 very distinct legs or operations. And the interesting thing is, like, you already heard about how the backpack introduced like a home repairs. Well, I don't know how many times we actually, fed the children of the ladies because they're in our local school system, and provided birthdays because we have a birthday ministry underneath our Backpack Love. So it's really cool how everything kind of intertwines together.
Just a quick note on that too. I think a lot of people associate the sex industry with just tons of cash or lavish lifestyles, but the majority of it, 90% of it, like that's the popular thing that you see, right? But the majority of it is women in
Poverty.
Intense level of poverty. Some of the girls that danced were lucky to bring home $50 a night, and that was on the nights that were highly attended.
Right. Are there in situations where the baby daddy was at home not working and then taking all the income, but he was a great dad because he was home with the kids. Right. So that was the situation that we saw a lot of. And then we started doing cyber outreach where we called women who were selling themselves locally. And we have a lot of actually shut-ins in Gainesville of women, single women that put themselves online and sell themselves. We even through that, with our Straight Street Impact, we were able to provide lawn care for a lady. Of course, the volunteers didn't know and stuff like that, but it was interesting how we provided that because she was selling herself just for someone to come cut her grass because she lived in a community where she was going to get in trouble.
Oh, wow.
So it's wild what we get into.
Yeah.
We also do jail outreach, which we still do. We don't do club outreach or cyber outreach anymore, but we do jail outreach where we go into the jail every Friday and provide a Bible study for the women. And we have amazing outcomes with that too. 30 women have received Christ this year. And we also provide resources, what we do, what our community does. And so it's a great partnership, with everything that we have going on. Mm-hmm. And now we have this lovely house.
I was going to say, let's talk about the building that we're in, because this is a beautiful, the property is gorgeous. Mm-hmm. The house looks like it should be out of a magazine. It's beautiful. I don't know who did this, but they did a good job.
America's Home Place built it.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
And they're Gainesville company.
Yes.
Yeah, we highly recommend going to America's Home Place.
Yeah. Free plug-in. They do amazing. They're easy to work with and everything. And no, we have a 4-bed facility for women who have been exploited to come to us and receive long-term care. And that could be anywhere from 12 to 18 months. We provide a holistic program where we focus on the body, mind, and soul, and that comes with a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. Of course, the medical, the mental health, the nutrition, and a huge spiritual side along with that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we're super excited about it, and I hope that the women feel the same way as everyone else does. When they come here, they're like, it's so peaceful. It's a great place for healing. Everything's trauma informed, and we're super excited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's as far as I'm aware, it's only the second property like this that I know of north of Atlanta. Mm-hmm. I know of one other ministry that's down in Duluth, Swanee, Norcross area that does something similar to this, but that's about it. Atlanta Metro is a huge problem area in our country, in our world for this exact thing. So to have this in Hall County is kind of a big deal. And I know it wasn't an easy road to get here, but yeah, shaking your heads. Start to finish, when you guys had the idea of this property to actually getting the approval, what was that timeline like?
The idea of having a residential program was probably in 2012. We found this property, or maybe 16, and then we started the rezoning route in end of 2016, early 2017. And then they finished building this house this March.
Touch on, you mentioned the birthday ministry. I think that's such I've shared this with several people just because it's such I don't want to even say, it's not the right way to say it, it's such a good idea. It's way better than just a good idea. But one of, just like everything else we've talked about, a huge need that is a sign of showing people that they matter, that they're seen and they matter, and someone cares enough to do something about it. So that was birthed out of the Backpack Love ministry, because these are kids that they're not able to eat on the weekends. Birthday party is like an extra level of difficulty for those families. And so you guys provide what you, I think, call Birthday in a Box. What all is that? How do people, if people know families that are struggling, how do they get in touch with you guys and saying, hey, this is a family that we think fits kind of this, and we'd love for their kids to have a birthday?
I mean, the best thing for them to do if they are aware of a need is to just call us. We have someone that oversees this program, so we'll get them directly connected to that person, and we can get set up. I mean, we need 30 days notice, but I mean, we work and it doesn't take us long to get a party coordinated. And what that looks like is once we have made contact with the family and we know what day they want their party to be, the day before or any time before, whenever they're available, we'll deliver the cake, the paper plates, the napkins, a small toy, streamers, punch, all the things they need for the party. We'll deliver it to them before the day before the party. And then the next day, when everybody is coming, they've invited all their family and their friends, and they're celebrating, no one knows who Straight Street is. They just know here's a birthday party, and they're ready to celebrate it. And one of our hearts behind that is when you're just trying to survive, it's hard to imagine what it is to celebrate. And so we're, again, to go back to that theme of you matter, part of us mattering means that our lives are something to be celebrated. And people in the horrible situations they're in, life can be so serious, and the responsibility can be overwhelming. So to provide this brief respite where they're able to sit back and say, no, my life is worth celebrating. My life's worth remembering.
Mm-hmm.
We're hoping to bring a level of solace and peace, even in the midst of their hardship.
Yeah.
And all of our counselors at our schools, they know. And then the recipients of our backpacks, they get the letter in there. And that's where a lot of our referrals come from. And then the counselors themselves, and then word of mouth. The people who get our backpacks will tell their friends about it. And then so it kind of explodes from there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were able to do 81 birthday parties last year.
Wow. 81. Curiosity question. If this is something that is passionate about this, can they sponsor birthdays TBD? They can say just, hey, I want to, this is something that's close to my heart. I resonate with it, and I want to be involved. Can somebody do that?
Yeah, they can go on our website and sponsor there. We have like a little tab that says gift designation, and they can put birthday ministry on it. The same way people can sponsor a backpacker. We basically sponsor a family because each backpack feeds a family of 5. They can do the same thing with the birthday ministry.
Okay. And a birthday party cost us around $30.
Okay.
Give or take a few with each party, but it's around that number. So however many parties because we can't predict the time and when parties come in.
Right.
Like I said, we had 81 last year, so you can just if you want to sponsor 3 a month, right? That's $90 a month. Whatever you want to do, you can make that designation on the giving profile on our website.
So you guys have seen a lot of adversity just with people that you serve, that you interact with on a daily basis. Can you share with us any just kind of hallmark, great stories that are when you have those discouraging moments, or you see something that's just overwhelmingly sad or difficult, that you just think back to and you remember, and it encourages you that even if you can only do one thing for one person, that's kind of the story or stories you go back to?
We had this one story from our home repairs ministry, I think, that has been just really incredible for me, and just the life transformation that happened from something so small. But this family, the lady had started developing neuropathy in her legs, and the way their bathroom was set up, one, it was a little dilapidated. It was kind of outdated, but also she wasn't able to freely, with her neuropathy, move in and out. So it was either she didn't get to take a shower, or her son or her husband had to walk her in there and basically supervise her the whole time she was taking the shower. And we were able to, when we got to her home, obviously this is a huge source. We're talking about the dignity restoring people. I mean, you can't do something as necessary to life as bathe yourself, clean yourself, and wash yourself. It can be pretty depressing. And so when we came to her home, we looked it out, and we were able actually to replace her entire shower to make it handicap accessible. So now on her own, right, give back some self-sufficiency and able to provide for herself in that way, some independence on herself. The joy that came to her, like I said, just by something as simple as giving her a new bathroom. Because it affected so much more than just being able to take a shower. It brought back some life to some areas she'd become depressed of.
I think for Beautiful Feet, we just had a situation recently, because what we do is very hard, and you never know what you're going to get. So we helped a lady last year who had a lot of ups and downs, which is very normal. And unfortunately, she decided to choose the life again. And we poured out a lot of love, like we normally do with all the ladies and everything. And it's always hard when they decide to choose the life because of all the trauma and stuff. Sometimes it's just so hard, and help is just not a reality to them. But recently, she's receiving a lot of help in Atlanta right now, and she called my program coordinator, and this is someone that we had a lot of struggle with and didn't know what was happening to her and stuff. And so she recently called my program coordinator last week, and my program coordinator has been her emergency contact for every place that she's had to go to lately. And she called and was like, hey, I know I've never told you that you're my emergency contact, and I've just memorized your number. Because the last time we spoke to her, you know, she's kind of upset at us. The one thing she told my program coordinator was, you're my emergency contact because I know you're going to always answer. Oh. The last time we did talk, it wasn't the most pleasant thing. And it was a situation that we did feel defeated. And even though she's not under our care, we know that she is receiving care, and she's actually getting help from a partner agency in Atlanta right now. And she's safe. And then, you know, she called my program coordinator, you know, just to let her know, like, I know you still care about me, which is a big deal because even though we might leave on bad terms or they're upset at us for whatever reason, like, we always want them to know that we truly love them and care about them, and we're not just doing this to get our own glory or anything like that. And we had a really big case recently too, where we had a local lady who really just needed out of Gainesville because she was really in trouble and could not stay here because of the situation, and she had a pimp who was very dangerous here in Gainesville. So we, through a partner agency, got her out of the state, and she just recently wrote us a card of like, thank you so much. I'm able to receive healing now and go through recovery, and I'm so excited. And she has goals, and she can't wait to become certain things that she wants to, and it's like, oh, this is why we're doing it.
Yes. How awesome. There was a story that you guys shared with me about a girl from your summer camp. Can you share that one more time?
Absolutely. So over the summer, we did our what we call our Straight Street camp. And so it was an effort of ours to engage people beyond just the backpacks, because the backpacks are impersonal, and we wanted to start having relational impact in these people's life. We know that a lot of the poverty and suffering that people are walking through is because of a lack of community support and not knowing support. And so we kind of want to start bridging that gap and ultimately to share Christ with them too, to give us that opportunity. But so this summer we had the goal of having 30 students, ended up having 22 officially go through 2 weeks of summer camp with us, where we focused on social emotional skills. We focused on educational skills. We focused on spiritual realities and teaching them the gospel and singing worship music with them. Just kind of a well-rounded approach to them. But as we were doing that, one of the girls that was coming was actually living out of a hotel with her family at the time. And when she would come to the camp, one, you noticed that she was always clinging to someone. Like it was like this constant notice me, see me. So that spoke to us first off of just how much support and just emotional connection this child needed that she probably wasn't getting. And then on top of that, and she was 5 years old, so on top of that, there would be times where she would have accidents. You know, at 5 years old, she knew how to go to the bathroom.
Right.
It wasn't a lack of skill or learning that she lacked. It was more of a trauma that she was walking through. And we don't know what the situation was at the home. We just know that this girl was walking through something extremely difficult. And so just to be able to be present with her, to give her that emotional connection she needed, to be present in her life, it meant a lot to us over the summer.
Reality is that's probably her first summer camp. It may be the only summer camp she had an opportunity to be a part of. As parents, we know summer camps are not free, and a lot of them require additional resources, you know, sports equipment or whatever. So, when you guys shared that story months ago, it was just, again, one of those things that we walk beside on a daily basis, and we have no idea that reality exists. Literally right next to us. The coming year, 2 years, 3 years, what would you like to see grow, expand, be different, better? Share with us about some of the annual events, the fundraisers that you have going on, and how people can get involved in those.
Yeah.
Well, our two primary fundraising events that we do throughout the year, we have a 5K, and usually around the end of school year, we have a 5K to kind of recap all that we've done this past year with Backpack Love and to raise money for the upcoming school year at the end of summer. And then in November, we'll have a dinner banquet that is a fundraiser for the entire organization, where we talk about the highlights of the year and things we seek to accomplish. Jen, actually, are y'all still looking to do a new fundraiser specifically for Beautiful Feet?
I would love to do something that just focuses on Beautiful Feet and kind of get the women in our community more involved and to come and see what they can do and to help the organization. We don't have anything set in stone with that. But it would be something fun. Just be able to speak open and get more of like strong women who can bring a lot of things to our program. As far as, our goals for the year, we are doing our second summer camp. So we would love to have all the spaces filled for that. It's the 2 weeks in July, just to provide more of the opportunities in our community for the children. It'd be cool to have our second house starting and have women almost graduating our program from the first house. Those are really big goals. I'll stop right there.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, greater relational impact.
Right.
We're able to meet a lot of basic needs right now, and it does so much for families. But really looking, like I said, that support network piece. So many people in our community, they lack a support network. Yeah, Jim mentioned shut-ins. They're isolated.
Yeah,
they're living
there,
all alone,
but they don't have the community element.
Yeah,
right. Absolutely.
And broken family bonds. Just one of our first questions we ask people when we are going to help them: do you have someone in your family that can help you? And
disabled.
Man, the hurt and the pain that comes out in those conversations, because families are just broken. And so really trying to, through our church partners and through some processes that we're building internally, trying to help build more of a support network for some of the people we're serving.
What do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions that people have with whether it's families that are living in poverty or women that are involved in adult entertainment, some sort of exploitation? A lot of people's perception is, at some way, shape, and form, they kind of chose this and they did it to themselves. I know that's not the case. You guys see it firsthand, and it probably is the case, and some people just make bad decisions. But that is, by and large, not the case. So share with us just one of those common misconceptions that people have.
Yeah. I'm reading this amazing book right now, and it talks about that, and it talks about how we do the whole, and I'm guilty of it as well. I even do it even within ministry and what I'm doing, of like there's a us and then there's a they, and separating them, and I do it. I need to work on that, and I think it's also working on our mindset of what we do, and then the we versus they. But it's the whole, everyone's created in God's image. There was just a situational thing that's happened in their past, the trauma that kind of has led or catapulted them to a situation that they're dealing with now. And we see that, especially for our women, across the board, because majority of them, almost everyone that we have worked with personally, has been sexually abused at a young age. And it's usually by a caretaker, which led to bad relationships, and then the drug addiction, then the, sexual exploitation. Now they're in the industry. And I feel like this with poverty as well. A lot of it's generational poverty, not being able to give chances outside of that. There's not like a black and white like definition, or like this is it. Because I feel like poverty wouldn't exist.
Yeah, there's no one cause.
Right. It's a combination of so many different things. And then I feel like the church and people working with people just in poverty, we need to all change our vocabulary and mindset of like we're all on the same playing field. We all have or deserve the same dignity. Speaking to myself, not just everyone else that's not doing this, but we deserve all the same respect and opportunities as well.
Yeah, one of the things I communicate often when I'm with people is because the tendency is to think that poverty is the result of sinful choices over and over and over again.
You did it to yourself.
Right.
Of course, like everyone makes horrible choices. I know I've made horrible choices. Fortunately, I have to go back to that support system, right?
Right.
Had an amazing support system to pick me up, to lift me up, to not let me feel the full weight of that. I wasn't alone and isolated in that. But so not to remove sinful choices that people have made, but I try to help people see that every one of us, no matter where we're at, are not only sinners, but we're also sufferers. And to really understand a lot of the pain that people have walked through and a lot of the pain that's informed those choices, right? Because, again, when you are isolated and alone and in survival mode, it changes your perspective on the way you see things, and it causes you to respond in a way that someone that has the safety and the provision that I've had growing up, right? I can. It's a lot easier for me to make those choices than it is for someone that's been in survival mode their whole life,
Right.
And so that the whole point I'm trying to get us to have when we do that is we don't move towards people in judgment. We move towards people in compassion. We seek to understand them before we seek to instruct them or tell them what they're doing wrong. And I think that's a mindset not only for people in poverty, but for just people in general.
Yeah.
Like, let's have compassionate hearts for one another.
That's something that the theme, and every single person is guilty of what we've just been talking about. I mean, that is 100% of people's default mode is effectively, why aren't people more like me? It's usually the lens that we naturally see things through. And I share with people all the time in small group environments. Look, nobody started their faith journey at the same time. Nobody's going to finish at the same time. So why would we ever think that we're all supposed to be in the same place at the same time when we meet each other? It doesn't make any sense. And the reality is, when you've had bad things happen to you your whole life, it takes a lot more for you to change your mindset, to change how you think and how you process the same information in the same environment as someone else. Not just specific to abuse, but that's why there's the glass half full, the glass half empty. That's a result of conditioning of the mind. We'll transition to a little bit different. You guys, having been in this area for a long period of time, and your families having been here for a long period of time, what's one of your favorite things, your favorite hidden treasures you don't want anybody to know about, but you need to?
There's some really good authentic Mexican food everywhere in Gainesville.
Yeah, if you've missed that, you have a problem. You need to open your eyes.
Yeah.
So much good authentic Mexican around.
Yes. We have 2 kids. What do we do nowadays with their life?
Jen is my hidden treasure.
Oh, Lord.
If you don't know her, you should get to know her. She makes my life so
And
much
the
better,
award
so
for
much
Best
more
Supporting Male in a TV Drama.
El Gratón is probably my favorite. El Gratón and Mama Ruth's is really good.
And El Gratón is where?
Off of Atlanta Highway. And Mama Ruth's too. The Mexican grocery store where the Big Lots is, and behind now the Golden Corral, the inside, there's a restaurant in there.
Okay.
And their tacos are meaty. They have a lot of meat in their tacos, and they're so good.
I have not been there. I'm going there.
Yeah, I can't even think of the name of
I
it.
can't think of it either. Oh, and then when you first walk in, they have tamales.
Tamales.
Oh, yeah, like pre-made pickup tamales, $1.69.
Tamale on the go.
Yes, tamale on the go.
Awesome. Before we go, a question I like to do on every episode is what I call lightning round. In the spirit of it's a new day, we're going to do a different question than we did last time. So today's question is 80s big hair air guitar.
I was born in 90.
Well, tough luck. And also, shut up, you made me feel really old. All right, which 80s hair band ballad, maybe not 80s hair band ballad, but which 80s ballad makes you reach for the air guitar when you're stuck in traffic? The Summer of '69 by Bryan Adams, and the mullet counts for not being a big hair band. He has an awesome mullet. Or Rock You Like a Hurricane from the Scorpions.
Rock You Like a Hurricane.
There you go. Bryan Adams, so a lot of younger people don't even know the name Bryan Adams. I had his cassette tape, and we had a property when I was growing up. We lived there for probably about 12 years, and my brother and I would spend literally the entire day Saturday some days we didn't get done on Saturday and it was Sunday. We would take 2-hour shifts mowing the grass. And I wore Brian Adams' cassette tape out on that mower at that property.
My only question for you is, what is a cassette tape? I'm just playing. I know what that is.
You're dead to me. Okay, how do people find out more about Straight Street, get involved if they want to sponsor things, they want more information, or somebody's listening to this and they're one of those families in some way, shape, or form that needs help? How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, we have a website that has all the information in detail of what we do and how to get involved as a volunteer, and then contact information if you need our resources at www.straightstreetministry.org. And I know that's a mouthful, but it's straightstreetministry.org.
Okay.
Yeah, and our office number, too, if they just want to call us and get information, is 678-989-0255.
Okay. And you have a Facebook page?
Yeah.
People can look up
Straight Street on Facebook, Beautiful Feet on Facebook. We have 2 pages for that.
Yeah,
Okay.
2 different pages for that. And then we also have Instagram, which Straight Street has its own Instagram and Beautiful Feet has its own Instagram.
Awesome. Guys, I really appreciate your time. Thanks for taking your time out of your day.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. See you guys next time. This is the North Georgia Life Podcast. Embrace life where you live.